You are exhausted. Not just physically tired, not just sleepy. You are running on fumes and pretending everything is fine. You wake up tired. You drag yourself through the day. You collapse at night only to repeat the same draining cycle tomorrow. And here is what nobody is telling you. The problem is not your workload. It is not your responsibilities. It is not even your sleep schedule. The real problem is that you have been lied to about how energy actually works. Everything you have been taught about managing your energy is backwards. Drink more coffee. Push through the fatigue. Take a vacation when you burn out. Get more sleep. These are band-aids on a bullet wound. They address symptoms while the real energy crisis happening inside your body goes completely ignored. Your energy system is not a gas tank that you fill up and drain throughout the day. It is a complex biological network that can be optimized or destroyed based on the choices you make every single hour of every single day. Right now, your cells are starving. Your mitochondria are damaged. Your hormones are out of balance. Your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. And you are walking around wondering why you feel like you are aging faster than everyone else. Why you cannot focus like you used to. Why your motivation has disappeared. Why even simple tasks feel overwhelming. The answer is simple, but not easy to hear. You have systematically destroyed your body's ability to produce energy efficiently. And until you fix this at the cellular level, nothing else you try will work. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will understand exactly how energy is created in your body, why yours is depleted, and the specific steps you need to take to become someone who operates at peak energy levels consistently. You will learn the science that billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies do not want you to know. You will discover why some people seem to have endless energy while you are constantly exhausted. You will understand how to rebuild your energy systems from the ground up so that high performance becomes your natural state rather than something you have to force. This is not about willpower. This is not about motivation. This is about biology. And when you get your biology right, everything else becomes easier. Your focus sharpens. Your mood stabilizes. Your productivity multiplies. Your body starts working for you instead of against you. You stop feeling like you are constantly fighting just to get through the day and start feeling like you have reserves of power you never knew existed. Chapter 1: The Hidden Energy Crisis Destroying Your Life. Most people have no idea they are living in an energy crisis. They think being tired all the time is normal. They believe that constant fatigue is just part of getting older or having a busy life. They accept low energy as their reality and build their entire existence around managing exhaustion rather than eliminating it. This acceptance is killing their potential, and they do not even realize it. Let me be brutally honest with you. When you are operating at low energy levels, you are not living your real life. You are living a diminished shadow version of what your life could be. Every decision you make is filtered through exhaustion. Every opportunity is evaluated based on whether you have the energy to pursue it. Every relationship suffers because you do not have the emotional reserves to show up fully. You are not choosing your life. Your energy levels are choosing it for you. Think about the last time you felt truly energized. Not the fake energy from caffeine or sugar. Not the manic energy from stress hormones. Real, sustainable energy where your mind was clear, your body felt strong, and you had genuine enthusiasm for your day. For most people, they cannot remember the last time they felt this way. They have been running on fumes for so long that they have forgotten what actual vitality feels like. The science is absolutely clear on this. Chronic low energy is not a minor inconvenience. It is a medical emergency that your body is experiencing in slow motion. When your cells cannot produce adequate energy, every system in your body begins to malfunction. Your brain struggles to form new memories and make good decisions. Your immune system weakens and you get sick more often. Your metabolism slows down and you gain weight even when eating the same foods. Your hormones become imbalanced, leading to mood swings, anxiety, and depression. Your muscles become weaker and recovery takes longer. Your skin ages faster. Your organs work less efficiently. This is what chronic energy depletion does to your body. It accelerates aging at the cellular level. Studies show that people with chronic fatigue have shorter telomeres, which are the protective caps on the ends of chromosomes that determine cellular aging. In other words, being constantly tired is literally making you age faster than you should. Every day you spend in energy deficit is a day you are borrowing from your future health and lifespan. But the damage goes beyond just physical health. Energy depletion destroys your psychology and your life outcomes. When you are exhausted, you make worse decisions. Research shows that decision fatigue sets in much faster when you are operating at low energy levels. This means you are more likely to choose immediate gratification over long-term benefits. You are more likely to give up on important goals. You are more likely to say yes to things you should decline and no to opportunities you should pursue. Your entire life trajectory is being determined by your energy levels, and you probably have not even considered this connection. The financial cost of low energy is staggering. Think about every opportunity you have passed up because you were too tired to pursue it. Every promotion you did not get because you could not perform at your peak. Every business idea you never launched because you lacked the energy to execute it. Every skill you never developed because you were too exhausted to learn something new. The compound effect of these energy-related losses over a lifetime easily reaches millions of dollars for most people. The relationship cost is equally devastating. When you are chronically tired, you become irritable, impatient, and emotionally unavailable. You withdraw from social connections because interaction feels like work rather than pleasure. You stop investing in your relationships because you simply do not have the energy to show up fully. Your partner, children, and friends get whatever is left after you have spent your limited energy on work and obligations. Over time, this energy deficit creates distance and resentment in the relationships that matter most. Perhaps the highest cost of chronic energy depletion is what it does to your sense of self. When you are always tired, you start to believe that this is who you are. You tell yourself stories like, "I am just not a morning person," or "I do not have as much energy as other people," or "I am getting older, so this is normal." These stories become your identity and create self-fulfilling prophecies that trap you in patterns of low energy for years or even decades. But here is what you need to understand. Your current energy level is not who you are. It is simply the result of how you have been treating your body and your energy systems. The feeling of vitality and power that seems to come naturally to some people is not a genetic gift they were born with. It is the result of specific biological conditions that can be created through specific actions. You are not stuck with low energy. You are stuck with behaviors and beliefs that create low energy. The energy crisis you are experiencing right now has three primary causes. First, your mitochondria, which are the power plants inside every cell of your body, have been damaged by years of poor nutrition, chronic stress, and environmental toxins. Second, your hormonal systems that regulate energy production have become dysregulated through inconsistent sleep, sedentary lifestyle, and blood sugar volatility. Third, your nervous system has become stuck in sympathetic dominance, which means you are constantly in fight or flight mode, burning through energy reserves without allowing proper recovery. These three systems, mitochondrial function, hormonal balance, and nervous system regulation, determine your energy levels more than anything else. Sleep matters, nutrition matters, exercise matters, but they only matter because of how they affect these three foundational systems. When you understand this, you stop chasing surface-level solutions and start addressing the root causes of your energy depletion. Most people are trying to solve their energy crisis by adding more stimulation, more coffee, more energy drinks, more supplements that promise quick fixes. This is like trying to win a race by whipping a dying horse. You might get a temporary burst of speed, but you are making the underlying problem worse. Every time you force your body to produce energy through artificial stimulation without addressing why your natural energy production is broken, you damage your energy systems further. The good news is that once you understand how energy actually works at the cellular level, rebuilding your energy systems becomes straightforward. Not easy, but straightforward. Your body wants to produce abundant energy. That is its default state. When you remove the barriers and provide the right conditions, your cells will start producing energy efficiently again. The vitality you remember from your younger years is not gone. It is buried under layers of damage that can be reversed with the right approach. Chapter 2. How your body actually creates energy. To fix your energy crisis, you need to understand exactly how your body produces energy at the cellular level. Most people have no idea how this process works, which is why they keep making choices that destroy their energy production without realizing it. Energy production is not magic, and it is not random. It is a specific biochemical process that happens trillions of times per day inside your cells. When you understand this process, everything about managing your energy becomes clear. Every cell in your body contains tiny structures called mitochondria. These are essentially power plants that take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe and convert them into a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. ATP is the actual currency of energy in your body. Everything you do, from thinking to moving to digesting food to fighting infections, requires ATP. Your brain alone uses about 20% of your total ATP production, even though it only represents 2% of your body weight. The process of creating ATP happens through something called cellular respiration. This is a multi-step chemical process that extracts energy from glucose and fat molecules. The process has three main stages. First, glycolysis breaks down glucose in the cell cytoplasm. Second, the Krebs cycle processes the breakdown products in the mitochondrial matrix. Third, the electron transport chain uses those products to pump protons across the mitochondrial membrane, creating an electrical gradient that drives ATP production. Here is what you need to understand about this process. When your mitochondria are healthy and functioning optimally, they can produce massive amounts of ATP very efficiently. One glucose molecule can generate up to 38 ATP molecules when the entire cellular respiration process is working correctly. But when your mitochondria are damaged or your cells lack the right nutrients, this efficiency drops dramatically. You might only get 2 ATP molecules from that same glucose. This means you need to consume 19 times more fuel to get the same energy output. This is exactly what is happening inside your body right now if you struggle with chronic fatigue. Your mitochondria are not broken completely. They are just functioning at a fraction of their capacity. It is like trying to power a city with a damaged electrical grid. The power plant might be running, but most of the energy is being lost to inefficiency rather than reaching where it needs to go. You are eating food, your body is processing it, but you are only extracting a tiny percentage of the available energy. Several factors determine how efficiently your mitochondria produce energy. The first is the sheer number of mitochondria you have. Some cells have just a few hundred mitochondria, while others, particularly in organs that need lots of energy, like your heart and brain, can have thousands. The more mitochondria you have, the more energy your cells can produce. Exercise, particularly certain types that we will discuss later, stimulates the creation of new mitochondria through a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. The second factor is the health and integrity of the mitochondrial membranes. The electron transport chain that produces most of your ATP happens across these membranes. When the membranes are damaged by oxidative stress, inflammation, or toxins, the energy production process becomes inefficient. It is like trying to generate electricity with damaged wiring. Some power gets through, but much of it is lost as heat and oxidative damage instead of useful ATP. The third factor is the availability of necessary cofactors and nutrients that the energy production process requires. Your mitochondria need B vitamins, magnesium, iron, CoQ10, and many other micronutrients to run the cellular respiration process efficiently. If you are deficient in any of these, your energy production suffers. This is why taking a basic multivitamin sometimes helps people feel more energetic, but it is just scratching the surface of what is possible when you optimize all aspects of cellular energy production. The fourth factor is oxygen availability. The final stage of cellular respiration requires oxygen, which is why it is called aerobic metabolism. When your cells do not get enough oxygen, they have to rely on less efficient anaerobic pathways that produce much less ATP and generate lactic acid as a byproduct. This is why cardiovascular fitness matters for energy levels. Better cardiovascular function means better oxygen delivery to your cells, which means more efficient energy production. The fifth factor is the fuel source your mitochondria are using. Your cells can produce energy from both glucose and fat, but they do it through different pathways with different efficiency levels. When you are constantly eating carbohydrates and keeping your insulin levels elevated, your cells become dependent on glucose and lose the ability to efficiently burn fat for fuel. This is called metabolic inflexibility, and it is one of the main reasons people experience energy crashes throughout the day. Understanding metabolic flexibility is crucial for sustained energy. When your cells can seamlessly switch between burning glucose and burning fat, depending on availability, your energy levels remain stable. You do not experience the crashes that come from blood sugar volatility. You can go longer between meals without feeling exhausted or irritable. You have access to your vast fat stores for energy instead of constantly needing to refuel with food. This metabolic flexibility is the secret behind why some people seem to have endless energy while others crash every few hours. Your mitochondria also have a quality control system that determines whether they are functioning properly or need to be recycled. This process is called mitophagy, and it is like a cellular quality control mechanism that identifies damaged mitochondria and breaks them down so their components can be recycled. When mitophagy is working well, you maintain a population of healthy, efficient mitochondria. When it is impaired, damaged mitochondria accumulate and drag down your overall energy production. The relationship between mitochondrial health and aging is profound. As you get older, your mitochondria naturally accumulate damage from decades of producing energy and dealing with oxidative stress. This mitochondrial decay is actually one of the primary drivers of aging itself. People who maintain healthy mitochondria as they age through specific lifestyle interventions experience much slower aging and maintain higher energy levels decades longer than those who let their mitochondria deteriorate. But age-related mitochondrial decline is not inevitable. Studies on centenarians, people who live past 100 years old, show that they often have mitochondrial function similar to people decades younger. The difference is not genetics for most people. It is lifestyle factors that either protect mitochondria or damage them. The choices you make every day are either building your mitochondrial capacity or destroying it. One of the most damaging things you can do to your mitochondria is expose them to chronic oxidative stress. This happens when free radicals, which are unstable molecules produced during energy production, overwhelm your antioxidant defenses. Some oxidative stress is normal and even beneficial because it signals your body to adapt and get stronger. But chronic excessive oxidative stress damages mitochondrial DNA and membranes, reducing energy production efficiency and accelerating aging. Sources of excessive oxidative stress include processed foods, environmental toxins, chronic psychological stress, excessive exercise without adequate recovery, poor sleep, smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, and chronic inflammation. Every time you expose your body to these stressors without giving it the resources to recover, you are damaging the very structures that produce your energy. This is why you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. The sleep gave your body time to attempt repairs. But if you are overwhelming your system with damage faster than it can recover, you never catch up. The solution to the energy crisis is not complicated in theory, but it requires commitment in practice. You need to simultaneously reduce the factors that damage your mitochondria while increasing the factors that support mitochondrial health and biogenesis. You need to provide your cells with all the raw materials they need for efficient energy production. You need to improve oxygen delivery through cardiovascular fitness. You need to develop metabolic flexibility so your cells can efficiently use multiple fuel sources. And you need to activate the cellular quality control mechanisms that clear out damaged mitochondria and build new healthy ones. When you do these things consistently, your energy levels do not just improve marginally, they transform completely. People who successfully rebuild their mitochondrial function report feeling like they turned back the clock 10 or 20 years. Tasks that used to leave them exhausted become effortless. They wake up naturally with energy before their alarm. They maintain focus and productivity throughout the entire day. They have energy left over for relationships and activities they enjoy instead of collapsing every evening. This level of vitality is not reserved for the genetically gifted. It is available to anyone willing to understand how energy works and make the necessary changes. Chapter 3: The Sleep-Energy Connection Nobody Understands. Everyone knows that sleep is important for energy, but almost nobody understands why or how to optimize sleep for maximum energy production. Most people think sleep is passive rest time where nothing much happens. This could not be further from the truth. Sleep is when the most critical energy restoration and cellular repair processes occur. If your sleep is poor quality or insufficient, nothing else you do will fully restore your energy levels. During sleep, your body goes through multiple 90-minute cycles that alternate between different sleep stages. Each stage serves specific functions for energy restoration. Light sleep helps with memory consolidation and mental recovery. Deep sleep is when physical restoration happens, growth hormone is released, and your immune system does its most important work. REM sleep is crucial for emotional processing and cognitive function. You need adequate amounts of all these stages to wake up truly restored. Here is what most people get wrong about sleep. They focus entirely on duration while ignoring quality. You can spend 9 hours in bed and wake up exhausted if you are not cycling through the sleep stages properly. You can spend 7 hours in bed and wake up energized if those hours involve high-quality, efficient sleep cycles. Quality matters more than quantity, although you need both for optimal energy restoration. The first factor that determines sleep quality is your circadian rhythm, alignment. Your body has an internal biological clock that regulates when you should be alert and when you should sleep. This clock is primarily set by light exposure, particularly bright light in the morning and darkness in the evening. When your behavior aligns with your circadian rhythm, sleep comes easily and is deeply restorative. When you fight against your circadian rhythm, sleep becomes difficult and less restorative, regardless of how many hours you spend in bed. Modern life systematically destroys circadian rhythm alignment. You look at bright screens late into the evening, which signals to your brain that it is still daytime. You sleep in dark rooms and do not get bright light exposure in the morning, which prevents your circadian clock from setting properly. You eat at irregular times, which confuses the peripheral clocks in your organs. You travel across time zones or work irregular shifts. All of these factors create circadian misalignment, which makes it nearly impossible to achieve truly restorative sleep. The solution starts with light exposure. Within 30 minutes of waking, you need to get outside and expose your eyes to bright natural light for at least 10 minutes. This sets your circadian clock and starts a timer for when you will naturally become sleepy later that night. 12 to 14 hours after this morning light exposure, your brain will begin producing melatonin, the hormone that makes you feel sleepy. If you never set the clock with morning light, the evening melatonin release becomes irregular and weak. In the evening, as the sun sets, you need to dramatically reduce your light exposure. This means dimming lights in your home, using warm-colored bulbs instead of bright white LEDs, wearing blue light-blocking glasses if you must look at screens, and ideally having no screens at all for the last hour or two before bed. Every photon of blue wavelength light that hits your eyes after sunset suppresses melatonin production and delays your sleep onset. Even a few minutes of bright light exposure late in the evening can shift your circadian rhythm and destroy that night's sleep quality. Room temperature is the second critical factor for sleep quality that most people get wrong. Your core body temperature needs to drop for you to fall asleep and stay asleep. The optimal room temperature for sleep is between 60 and 67 degrees. Most people keep their bedrooms far too warm, which prevents the body temperature drop needed for deep sleep. You should feel slightly cool when you first get into bed. Under warm blankets in a cool room is the ideal thermal environment for sleep. Your body also regulates temperature through your extremities, particularly your hands and feet. This is why wearing socks to bed can actually help some people fall asleep faster, even though the room should be cool. The socks cause vasodilation in your feet, which allows heat to escape from your core, lowering your core temperature and triggering sleep. Taking a hot bath or shower 90 minutes before bed works through a similar mechanism. The initial heating is followed by a rapid cool down as the water evaporates, which signals your body that it is time to sleep. The third factor is blood sugar stability. When your blood sugar crashes during the night, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline to raise it back up. These stress hormones wake you up or prevent you from entering deep sleep stages. This is why people who eat high carbohydrate meals late in the evening often wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning, feeling anxious or alert. Their blood sugar has crashed and stress hormones have kicked in to compensate. The solution is to avoid eating large meals within 3 hours of bedtime, and when you do eat in the evening, emphasize protein and healthy fats over carbohydrates. Protein and fat are digested more slowly and provide sustained energy throughout the night without causing blood sugar spikes and crashes. Some people benefit from a small snack before bed that combines protein and fat, like a handful of nuts, which provides sustained fuel and prevents overnight blood sugar crashes. The fourth factor is stress and cortisol levels. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and it follows a natural daily rhythm. It should be highest in the morning to help you wake up and gradually decline throughout the day, reaching its lowest point at night to allow sleep. When you are chronically stressed, this pattern becomes disrupted. Cortisol remains elevated in the evening, which prevents the relaxation and body temperature drop needed for sleep. You lie in bed with your mind racing, unable to shut off the stress response. Addressing evening cortisol elevation requires managing stress throughout the day, not just at bedtime. If you spend all day in high stress mode and then expect to flip a switch and become relaxed at bedtime, it will not work. Your nervous system needs a gradual wind-down period. This means building stress reduction practices into your entire day, particularly in the evening hours. Activities like gentle walking, reading, conversation, stretching, or meditation help transition your nervous system from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic relaxation. The fifth factor is sleep environment optimization. Your bedroom should be completely dark, quiet, and free from electronic devices that emit electromagnetic fields. Even small amounts of light from alarm clocks, phone chargers, or street lights coming through windows can disrupt sleep quality. Your brain has photoreceptors that detect light even through closed eyelids, and any light exposure during sleep suppresses melatonin and fragments your sleep architecture. Use blackout curtains, cover or remove light-emitting devices, and consider a sleep mask if necessary. noise is equally disruptive to sleep quality. Even if sounds do not fully wake you, they cause micro-arousals that fragment your sleep and prevent you from spending adequate time in deep and REM stages. If you live in a noisy environment, white noise machines or earplugs can significantly improve sleep quality. The goal is a completely silent environment or consistent white noise that masks intermittent sounds. The sixth factor is supplement and medication effects on sleep architecture. Many common medications and even natural supplements can significantly impact your sleep quality in ways you might not realize. Alcohol is perhaps the worst offender. While it might help you fall asleep faster, alcohol dramatically suppresses REM sleep and causes sleep fragmentation in the second half of the night. You wake up feeling unrested, despite spending adequate time in bed, because you never achieved quality sleep cycles. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, which means that half of the caffeine from your afternoon coffee is still in your system at bedtime. Even if it does not prevent you from falling asleep, it reduces deep sleep and makes your sleep less restorative. If you struggle with energy despite seemingly adequate sleep, eliminating all caffeine after noon, or better yet after morning, will likely improve your sleep quality significantly. Many people who think they need caffeine to function only need it because caffeine is destroying their sleep quality, creating a vicious cycle of dependency. Some prescription medications, particularly antidepressants, blood pressure medications, and corticosteroids, can significantly disrupt sleep architecture. If you take prescription medications and struggle with sleep quality, discuss this with your doctor. Sometimes timing adjustments or alternative medications can preserve sleep quality while still providing therapeutic benefits. Never discontinue prescribed medications without medical guidance, but do advocate for sleep quality as an important factor in your treatment plan. The seventh factor is sleep consistency. Your circadian rhythm functions best when you go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, including weekends. Varying your sleep schedule by more than an hour creates something called social jet lag, where your body never fully adapts to any particular rhythm. This makes every day feel like you are recovering from time zone travel. The discipline of consistent sleep and wake times, even when it is inconvenient, pays enormous dividends for energy levels. Many people use weekends to catch up on sleep, sleeping much later than during the week. This strategy backfires because it shifts your circadian rhythm later, making it harder to fall asleep Sunday night and wake up Monday morning. You end up starting every week in a state of circadian misalignment. The solution is to maintain consistent timing even on non-work days. If you need more sleep on weekends, go to bed slightly earlier rather than sleeping significantly later. When you optimize all these factors together, sleep becomes profoundly restorative. You fall asleep quickly, cycle through all stages efficiently, and wake up naturally before your alarm feeling genuinely refreshed. Morning grogginess disappears. You have mental clarity and physical energy from the moment you wake. This level of sleep quality creates a foundation of energy that makes everything else in your life easier. Without it, you are fighting an uphill battle regardless of what else you do right. Chapter 4. The nutrition-energy equation that changes everything. What you eat determines your energy levels more than almost any other factor. Yet most people approach nutrition in ways that systematically destroy their energy production. They eat foods that create blood sugar chaos, damage their mitochondria, promote inflammation, and leave them deficient in the nutrients their cells need to produce energy efficiently. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted all the time. The standard approach to nutrition focuses on calories, macronutrients, and weight management. But energy optimization requires a completely different framework. You need to think about every food you eat in terms of how it affects your cellular energy production, your metabolic flexibility, your inflammation levels, and your micronutrient status. When you shift to this energy-focused perspective, many foods that seem healthy reveal themselves as energy destroyers. The first principle of energy-optimizing nutrition is blood sugar stability. Every time you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to move that sugar into your cells. If you eat too many carbohydrates, or the wrong types, your blood sugar spikes high and then crashes low. During the spike, you might feel a temporary energy boost. During the crash, you feel exhausted, irritable, and mentally foggy. Most people ride this blood sugar roller coaster multiple times per day and wonder why their energy is so inconsistent. The solution is not to eliminate carbohydrates completely, although some people do benefit from very low carbohydrate approaches. The solution is to choose carbohydrates that are digested slowly and to combine them with protein, fat, and fiber that slow down digestion even further. This creates a gentle, sustained rise in blood sugar rather than a spike and crash. You maintain stable energy for hours instead of needing to refuel constantly. High-fiber carbohydrates like vegetables, legumes, and whole intact grains are digested much more slowly than refined carbohydrates like white bread, white rice, pasta, and sugar. The fiber physically slows down digestion and also feeds beneficial gut bacteria that produce compounds supporting metabolic health. When you replace refined carbohydrates with high-fiber alternatives, you immediately reduce the blood sugar volatility that drains your energy throughout the day. Protein is crucial for energy stability because it has minimal effect on blood sugar while providing sustained fuel and supporting tissue repair. Every meal should contain adequate protein, roughly 20 to 30 grams for most people. This protein intake supports muscle maintenance, provides amino acids for neurotransmitter production, and creates satiety that prevents the constant snacking that keeps blood sugar unstable. People who start eating adequate protein at every meal often report dramatic improvements in energy stability within just a few days. Healthy fats are equally important for sustained energy. Fat is digested very slowly and provides more than twice the energy per gram as carbohydrates or protein. When you include healthy fats from sources like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish, and eggs in your meals, you extend the time until you feel hungry again and prevent blood sugar crashes. Fat also supports hormone production, reduces inflammation, and provides the building blocks for healthy cell membranes, including the mitochondrial membranes where energy production happens. The second principle of energy nutrition is micronutrient density. Your mitochondria require dozens of different vitamins, minerals, and cofactors to run the cellular respiration process efficiently. If you are deficient in even one of these, your energy production suffers. The modern diet, heavy in processed foods and light in nutrient-dense whole foods, creates widespread micronutrient deficiencies that directly impair cellular energy production. B vitamins are absolutely critical for energy metabolism. B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12 all play essential roles in converting food into ATP. Deficiency in any B vitamin will reduce your energy output. These vitamins are found primarily in animal products: whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. People eating heavily processed diets are almost certainly deficient in multiple B vitamins, which explains why B complex supplementation often produces noticeable energy improvements. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, including every step of ATP production. It is also chronically deficient in most people's diets because modern agricultural practices have depleted soil magnesium levels. Magnesium deficiency causes fatigue, muscle weakness, poor sleep quality, and increased stress sensitivity. Food sources include dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, and dark chocolate. Many people benefit from magnesium supplementation in the form of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate. Iron is essential for oxygen transport in your blood and oxygen utilization in your mitochondria. Without adequate iron, your cells cannot run aerobic metabolism efficiently, which forces reliance on less efficient anaerobic pathways. Iron deficiency is one of the most common nutrient deficiencies worldwide, particularly in menstruating women. Symptoms include profound fatigue, weakness, pale skin, and shortness of breath with minimal exertion. Iron-rich foods include red meat, organ meats, shellfish, legumes, and fortified grains. Plant-based iron sources are less bioavailable than animal sources, so vegetarians and vegans need to be especially mindful of iron intake. Coenzyme Q10 is a crucial component of the electron transport chain in your mitochondria. As you age, CoQ10 production naturally declines, which contributes to age-related energy decline. CoQ10 is found in organ meats, fatty fish, and whole grains, but dietary intake is often insufficient. Supplementation with ubiquinol, the active form of CoQ10, can significantly improve energy levels, particularly in people over 40 or those taking statin medications, which deplete CoQ10. The third principle is reducing inflammatory foods that damage your mitochondria and drain your energy. Chronic inflammation requires enormous amounts of energy to sustain. When your immune system is constantly activated fighting inflammation, it diverts resources away from other functions, leaving you feeling exhausted. Certain foods are highly inflammatory for most people, and eliminating them often produces dramatic energy improvements. Refined vegetable oils are among the most inflammatory foods in the modern diet. Oils like soybean, corn, canola, cottonseed, and sunflower oil are high in omega-6 fatty acids that promote inflammation when consumed in excess. These oils are in virtually all processed foods, restaurant foods, and fried foods. They damage cell membranes, promote oxidative stress, and interfere with mitochondrial function. Replacing these oils with olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and butter significantly reduces inflammatory load. Refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup create inflammation through multiple mechanisms. They spike blood sugar and insulin, promote harmful bacterial growth in your gut, increase oxidative stress, and contribute to cellular aging through a process called glycation. Sugar is addictive and ubiquitous in processed foods, often hidden under dozens of different names. Reducing sugar intake is one of the most powerful interventions for improving energy and overall health. Gluten-containing grains cause inflammation in many people, not just those with celiac disease. Non-celiac gluten sensitivity is increasingly recognized as a real condition that can cause fatigue and brain fog, digestive issues, and joint pain. Even in people without obvious gluten sensitivity, reducing gluten often improves energy levels. This might be because modern wheat has been bred to contain much higher gluten levels than traditional varieties, and it is heavily sprayed with glyphosate, a herbicide that disrupts gut health. Processed foods, in general, are energy destroyers. They are designed for shelf stability and palatability, not for supporting human health. They contain combinations of sugar, refined carbohydrates, unhealthy oils, artificial additives, and excessive sodium that create metabolic dysfunction. The more your diet consists of foods that come in packages with ingredient lists, the worse your energy levels will be. Real food that grows in nature or comes from animals is what your body is designed to run on. The fourth principle is eating timing and frequency. When you eat matters almost as much as what you eat. Your body has different metabolic priorities at different times of day, and aligning your eating patterns with these natural rhythms optimizes energy production. Most people eat constantly throughout the day, which keeps insulin elevated, prevents fat burning, and never gives the digestive system time to rest and recover. Time-restricted eating, where you consume all your food within an 8 to 12-hour window each day, has profound benefits for energy and metabolic health. During the fasting period, insulin levels drop. Your body shifts to burning fat for fuel. Cellular repair processes activate, and your gut gets a break from constant digestive work. Many people report that their energy levels become much more stable when they stop eating breakfast and push their first meal to midday, allowing a natural 16-hour overnight fast. The argument that breakfast is the most important meal of the day is marketing, not science. For many people, eating breakfast, especially a carbohydrate-heavy breakfast, starts the blood sugar roller coaster that leads to energy crashes throughout the day. Starting your day with just water, black coffee, or tea allows you to tap into fat stores for sustained energy while maintaining mental clarity. When you do eat your first meal, making it high in protein and healthy fats rather than carbohydrates maintains this stable energy state. Eating large meals late in the evening disrupts sleep quality and forces your body to divert energy to digestion when it should be focused on cellular repair. Finishing your last meal at least 3 hours before bed improves sleep quality and allows your body to enter a fasted state overnight, where important maintenance and repair processes occur. People who shift their eating earlier in the day and keep evenings light often experience dramatic improvements in morning energy and mental clarity. The fifth principle is supporting gut health, because your digestive system is intimately connected to energy levels. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria that influence everything from nutrient absorption to immune function to neurotransmitter production. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, you cannot properly extract nutrients from food. Inflammation increases and energy production suffers. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt, kefir, and kombucha provide beneficial bacteria that support gut health. Prebiotic fibers from vegetables, especially onions, garlic, asparagus, and artichokes, feed beneficial bacteria. Bone broth provides compounds that heal and seal the gut lining. Eliminating foods that damage the gut lining, particularly refined sugar, alcohol, and processed foods, allows the gut to heal and function optimally. Many people walking around with chronic fatigue actually have undiagnosed gut issues. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, leaky gut syndrome, and food sensitivities create inflammation and malabsorption that drain energy. If you have unexplained fatigue, along with digestive symptoms like bloating, gas, irregular bowel movements, or food sensitivities, addressing gut health should be a priority. Working with a functional medicine practitioner to identify and treat gut dysfunction often resolves chronic fatigue that has persisted for years. The transformation that happens when you align your nutrition with energy optimization is remarkable. Energy levels stabilize throughout the day. Mental fog clears. Mood improves. Physical performance increases. Body composition improves even without calorie restriction because you are finally providing your cells with what they need to function efficiently. This is not about willpower or restriction. This is about understanding what your body needs to produce energy and giving it those things consistently. Chapter 5. The Movement Energy Paradox. Exercise seems like it should make you more tired. You expend energy during physical activity, so logically, you should have less energy afterward. But the opposite is true. Strategic movement actually increases your total energy capacity dramatically. The key word is strategic. The wrong types, amounts, or timing of exercise will deplete your energy. The right approach will multiply it. Most people approach exercise in ways that undermine rather than enhance energy. They do excessive amounts of chronic cardio that elevates cortisol and damages mitochondria. They push through workouts when their bodies need rest, creating a state of constant stress and inadequate recovery. They never do the specific types of training that signal mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new energy producing mitochondria. Or they do not exercise at all, which allows their mitochondrial capacity to decline through disuse. The first principle of energy-enhancing exercise is that intensity matters more than duration. Your body adapts to the specific demands you place on it. If you go for long, slow, steady-state cardio sessions, your body adapts by becoming more efficient at that specific activity. This sounds good, but metabolic efficiency actually means using less energy and burning fewer calories for the same work. Your metabolism slows down to conserve energy. This is the opposite of what you want for overall energy enhancement. High-intensity interval training creates completely different adaptations. When you push your body to maximum effort for short bursts, you create a powerful stimulus for mitochondrial biogenesis. Your body responds to the intense demand by building more mitochondria so it can produce more energy. Studies show that high-intensity intervals produce greater increases in mitochondrial density than hours of moderate-intensity exercise. You get more mitochondrial benefit from 20 minutes of intervals than from an hour of jogging. The protocol is simple. After a warm-up, alternate between maximum effort periods of 20 to 60 seconds and recovery periods of equal or slightly longer duration. Repeat this cycle 6 to 10 times. You can do this with running, cycling, rowing, swimming, or bodyweight exercises like burpees. The key is that during the high-intensity intervals, you are genuinely pushing to near maximum effort, not just going moderately hard. This intensity is what signals your body that it needs more energy capacity. High-intensity training also creates a phenomenon called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. After intense exercise, your metabolism remains elevated for hours as your body works to restore homeostasis, repair tissues, and adapt to the training stimulus. This means you are burning more calories and getting metabolic benefits long after the workout ends. Moderate intensity exercise has minimal EPOC effect, so you only get benefits during the actual workout. The second principle is that strength training is essential for energy enhancement, not optional. Muscle tissue is metabolically expensive to maintain, which means it increases your baseline energy expenditure. More importantly, muscle tissue is packed with mitochondria. When you build and maintain muscle mass through resistance training, you are literally increasing your body's total energy production capacity. People with more muscle mass have more total mitochondria and therefore more total ATP production capability. Strength training also improves insulin sensitivity, which means your cells become better at taking up glucose from the bloodstream and using it for energy rather than storing it as fat. Improved insulin sensitivity stabilizes blood sugar and prevents the energy crashes associated with insulin resistance. Many cases of chronic fatigue are actually undiagnosed insulin resistance or prediabetes, conditions that strength training directly addresses. You do not need to become a bodybuilder or spend hours in the gym. 2 to 3 focused strength training sessions per week of 30 to 45 minutes each is sufficient to maintain and gradually build muscle mass. Focus on compound movements that work multiple muscle groups simultaneously, like squats, deadlifts, presses, rows, and pull-ups. Progressive overload, gradually increasing the weight or resistance over time, is what signals your body to adapt by building more muscle and mitochondria. The third principle is that movement throughout the day matters as much as formal exercise. Sitting for extended periods has devastating effects on energy and metabolic health. When you sit motionless for hours, blood flow to your muscles and brain decreases. Glucose uptake by muscles drops, metabolic rate slows, and energy-producing enzymes in your cells become less active. This is why you feel so sluggish and foggy after sitting at a desk all day, even if you did not do mentally demanding work. Breaking up sitting time with movement every 30 to 60 minutes prevents these negative effects. Standing up and walking around for just 2 to 3 minutes every half hour maintains metabolic function and energy levels. Standing desks, walking meetings, or simply setting a timer to remind yourself to move can transform your daily energy levels. Some of the most productive and energetic people in the world are religious about taking movement breaks throughout their day. Walking is perhaps the most underrated energy-enhancing activity. A brisk 30 to 60-minute walk every day provides numerous benefits without the stress and recovery demands of intense exercise. Walking improves cardiovascular function, promotes mitochondrial health, reduces stress hormones, supports mental clarity, and helps regulate circadian rhythms when done outdoors in natural light. Many people find that a morning walk in sunlight sets them up for stable energy throughout the entire day. The fourth principle is that recovery is when adaptation happens, not during the workout itself. Exercise is a stress that damages tissues and depletes energy stores. The workout itself makes you temporarily weaker and more fatigued. It is during the recovery period afterward that your body repairs the damage, replenishes energy stores, and adapts by becoming stronger and more capable. Without adequate recovery, exercise becomes a net drain on your energy rather than an enhancement. Most people who complain that exercise makes them tired are not recovering adequately. They work out too frequently, with too much intensity, without allowing time for full recovery between sessions. They do not sleep enough, eat enough protein, or manage stress effectively. The exercise stimulus piles onto their already overloaded system and tips them into chronic fatigue. This is especially common in people who overtrain with excessive cardio while restricting calories in an attempt to lose weight. The solution is to view exercise as a part of your overall stress load, not separate from it. If you are experiencing high stress from work, relationships, or life circumstances, you need to reduce exercise volume and intensity accordingly. If you are sleeping poorly or eating inadequately, adding more exercise will make things worse, not better. Recovery should be treated as seriously as training itself, with attention to sleep, nutrition, stress management, and scheduled rest days. Active recovery activities like yoga, stretching, swimming, or easy walking can facilitate recovery without adding significant stress. These activities promote blood flow, reduce muscle tension, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and support the recovery process. Many high-level athletes include more active recovery work in their training programs than actual intense training because they understand that adaptation happens during recovery. The fifth principle is hormetic stress, the concept that appropriate doses of stress make you stronger while excessive stress breaks you down. Exercise is a hormetic stress. The right amount stimulates beneficial adaptations like mitochondrial biogenesis, improved cardiovascular function, increased strength, and enhanced metabolic health. Too much exercise, however, creates excessive oxidative stress, elevates cortisol chronically, suppresses immune function, and damages the very mitochondria you are trying to strengthen. The signs of excessive exercise stress include persistent fatigue, declining performance, increased resting heart rate, disrupted sleep, increased susceptibility to illness, persistent muscle soreness, loss of motivation to train, and mood disturbances. If you are experiencing multiple of these symptoms, you are overtraining and need to reduce volume and intensity while increasing recovery. More is not better when it comes to exercise. Strategic intensity, combined with adequate recovery, is what produces energy enhancement. Cold exposure and heat exposure are additional hormetic stresses that enhance energy when used strategically. Cold exposure, through cold showers or ice baths, activates brown adipose tissue that produces heat by burning calories and increases mitochondrial biogenesis. It also improves circulation, reduces inflammation, and builds stress resilience. Starting with 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower and gradually working up to 2 to 3 minutes provides significant benefits. Heat exposure through sauna use promotes cardiovascular adaptations, activates heat shock proteins that protect and repair cellular structures, including mitochondria, and supports detoxification processes. Regular sauna use, ideally 15 to 20 minutes at high temperature 3 to 4 times per week, has been associated with reduced all-cause mortality, better cardiovascular health, and improved longevity in multiple large studies. Combining heat and cold exposure creates powerful hormetic stress that enhances overall energy capacity. When you implement these movement principles together, strategic high-intensity training, regular strength work, frequent daily movement, adequate recovery, and hormetic stress from temperature exposure, your energy capacity expands dramatically. You build more mitochondria, improve oxygen delivery, enhance metabolic flexibility, optimize hormones, and develop physical resilience that translates into mental and emotional energy as well. Movement becomes a source of energy rather than something that depletes it. Chapter 6. The stress energy drain you cannot ignore. Stress is the invisible energy vampire that drains you dry without you even realizing it is happening. You focus on sleep, nutrition, and exercise. But if you do not address chronic stress, you will never achieve optimal energy levels regardless of how well you manage everything else. Stress fundamentally disrupts every system in your body that produces and regulates energy, and modern life creates more chronic stress than human bodies are designed to handle. Understanding the difference between acute stress and chronic stress is crucial. Acute stress is the immediate fight or flight response to a threat. Your sympathetic nervous system activates, cortisol and adrenaline surge, blood flows to your muscles and brain, and you have enhanced strength, speed, and focus for a short period. This response is healthy and adaptive when it is brief and followed by recovery. Acute stress can actually enhance energy and performance in the moment. Chronic stress is when your body remains in this activated state for weeks, months, or years without adequate recovery. Your stress hormones stay elevated, your sympathetic nervous system remains dominant, and your body treats normal life as a constant emergency. This chronic activation systematically destroys your energy production capacity through multiple mechanisms that most people never connect to their stress levels. The first mechanism is cortisol dysregulation. Cortisol should follow a specific daily pattern, high in the morning, to help you wake up, and gradually declining throughout the day to allow sleep at night. Under chronic stress, this pattern becomes disrupted. Cortisol might remain elevated all day, spike inappropriately in the evening, or become chronically suppressed after months or years of overproduction. Any deviation from the normal pattern impairs energy regulation. Elevated evening cortisol prevents the parasympathetic nervous system activation needed for restoration and sleep. You feel wired and tired simultaneously, exhausted, but unable to relax or sleep deeply. Morning cortisol levels might be low after chronic elevation, leaving you unable to wake up properly and struggling with fatigue all morning. Testing your cortisol pattern through saliva samples collected throughout the day can reveal dysregulation that explains otherwise mysterious energy problems. The second mechanism is that chronic stress diverts energy resources away from maintenance and growth toward immediate survival functions. When your body believes you are under constant threat, it prioritizes systems needed for immediate survival while deprioritizing everything else. Digestion becomes less efficient because you do not need to digest food optimally when running from a predator. Cellular repair and regeneration slow down because you do not need long-term maintenance during an emergency. Immune function becomes suppressed because you do not need to fight infections right now when facing immediate danger. This resource reallocation means that even if you are eating well and sleeping adequately, your body is not using those resources for energy production and restoration. It is burning through them, trying to maintain the stress response. You end up exhausted despite seemingly doing everything right because your body is operating in emergency mode rather than growth and restoration mode. The third mechanism is that chronic stress creates mitochondrial dysfunction. Elevated cortisol and oxidative stress from constant sympathetic activation damage mitochondrial membranes and mitochondrial DNA. This reduces the efficiency of energy production and can even trigger cell death when mitochondria are too damaged. Over time, chronic stress literally destroys the cellular structures that produce your energy, making it progressively harder to generate adequate ATP regardless of fuel availability. The fourth mechanism is that stress depletes key nutrients needed for energy production. Stress responses require B vitamins, magnesium, vitamin C, and other nutrients. Under chronic stress, you burn through these nutrients faster than normal, creating deficiencies that impair energy production. This is why people under prolonged stress often crave sugar and stimulants. Their bodies are desperately trying to generate energy despite lacking the cofactors needed for efficient cellular respiration. The fifth mechanism is that chronic stress causes insulin resistance. Elevated cortisol promotes glucose release into the bloodstream to provide immediate energy for dealing with threats. When this happens chronically, cells become resistant to insulin signals, leading to elevated blood sugar, poor cellular energy uptake, and the blood sugar volatility that causes energy crashes. Many cases of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes are driven primarily by chronic stress rather than just poor diet. Addressing chronic stress requires a multi-layered approach because stress comes from multiple sources and affects multiple systems. You cannot just meditate for 10 minutes a day and expect to overcome chronic stress if you are working 80-hour weeks, sleeping 5 hours a night, eating processed food, and maintaining toxic relationships. Comprehensive stress management addresses both stress reduction and stress resilience. Stress reduction means identifying and eliminating unnecessary stressors from your life. This requires honest assessment of what is actually adding stress without proportional value. The job that pays well but destroys your health and relationships. The commitments you said yes to out of obligation rather than genuine desire. The toxic people who drain your energy every time you interact with them. The constant news consumption and social media scrolling that keeps your nervous system activated. The perfectionist standards you impose on yourself that make everything harder than it needs to be. Many people resist eliminating stressors because they feel obligated or worry about disappointing others. But continuing to sacrifice your health and energy for external expectations is not sustainable or noble. It is a slow form of self-destruction that ultimately makes you less capable of helping anyone, including yourself. Setting boundaries, saying no, and pruning your life of energy-draining commitments is not selfish. It is essential for maintaining the capacity to function at all. Stress resilience means building your capacity to handle stress without it depleting you. This is where practices like meditation, breath work, time in nature, social connection, play, creative expression, and nervous system regulation come in. These are not luxuries or optional extras for when you have spare time. They are fundamental requirements for maintaining energy under stress. High performers in every field incorporate these practices religiously because they understand that resilience determines sustainable performance. Meditation and mindfulness practices train your ability to observe stress responses without being controlled by them. You learn to notice when your nervous system is activating and consciously engage the parasympathetic response rather than spiraling into chronic stress patterns. Even 10 minutes of daily meditation practice has been shown to reduce cortisol levels, improve stress resilience, and enhance energy levels. Apps like Headspace, Calm, or Waking Up make starting a meditation practice straightforward. Breathwork is one of the fastest ways to shift your nervous system state. Your breath directly influences your autonomic nervous system. Slow, deep breathing with extended exhales activates the parasympathetic rest and digest mode. Fast, shallow breathing maintains sympathetic fight or flight activation. By consciously controlling your breath, You can interrupt stress responses in real time and restore your system to a calm baseline. Box breathing, which you use during acute stress, is also valuable for daily stress management. 5 minutes of box breathing in the morning sets a calm baseline for your day. 5 minutes in the evening helps transition from work mode to recovery mode. Anytime you notice stress building during the day, 2 minutes of conscious breathing can reset your nervous system before the stress cascade depletes your energy. Time in nature has profound stress reducing effects that go beyond just relaxation. Studies show that spending time in natural environments reduces cortisol, lowers blood pressure, improves mood, enhances immune function, and boosts energy levels. The Japanese practice of forest bathing, spending mindful time walking in forests, has been extensively studied and shown to produce measurable health benefits. Even urban parks provide significant stress reduction compared to built environments. The mechanisms behind nature's stress-reducing effects include exposure to beneficial compounds released by trees, called phytoncides, that enhance immune function. Fractal patterns found in nature, the repeating patterns in trees, clouds, and coastlines, reduce physiological stress when observed. Natural sounds like flowing water and bird songs activate parasympathetic responses. Simply being away from the overstimulation of modern environments allows your nervous system to recover baseline. Social connection is one of the most powerful buffers against stress, yet modern life creates increasing isolation. Strong social relationships provide emotional support during difficult times, perspective that helps you manage challenges, and activation of oxytocin and other hormones that counteract stress responses. Prioritizing time with people who energize rather than drain you is essential for stress resilience and energy maintenance. Play and activities done purely for enjoyment, not productivity or self-improvement, are critical for stress recovery. When you are always in achievement mode, your nervous system never fully relaxes. Hobbies, games, creative pursuits, or activities that absorb your attention in flow states provide genuine restoration that passive entertainment, like watching television, cannot match. Schedule play into your week as seriously as you schedule work obligations. The final element of stress management is reframing your relationship with stress itself. Research shows that your beliefs about stress significantly impact how stress affects you. People who view stress as harmful and to be avoided experience worse health outcomes from stress than people who view stress as a challenge that helps them grow. This does not mean ignoring chronic stress or pretending everything is fine. It means distinguishing between stress that is damaging you and stress that is building your capacity. When you implement comprehensive stress management, reducing unnecessary stressors while building genuine resilience through daily practices, your energy levels transform. The constant drained feeling lifts. You develop reserves that allow you to handle challenges without depleting yourself. You stop living in emergency mode and start operating from a place of sustainable power. Stress management is not about eliminating all stress from your life. It is about building a nervous system that can engage fully when needed and recover completely when not. Chapter 7. The Hormone Optimization Blueprint for Limitless Energy. Your hormones are the master controllers of your energy systems. They determine how efficiently you produce energy, how you store and utilize fuel, how well you recover from stress, and how you feel physically and mentally throughout the day. When your hormones are optimized, energy flows naturally and effortlessly. When they are out of balance, no amount of sleep, nutrition, or exercise will fully restore your vitality. Most people have significant hormonal imbalances without realizing it. They attribute their symptoms to aging, stress, or bad luck, when the real problem is that their hormonal systems have been disrupted by modern lifestyle factors. The worst part is that hormonal imbalances create vicious cycles where one imbalance leads to others, progressively worsening your energy and health until intervention occurs. The first hormone to understand is insulin, your primary fuel storage hormone. Every time you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises and insulin is released to move that sugar into cells for energy or storage. In a healthy system, this process is efficient and insulin sensitivity is high. Your cells respond quickly to insulin signals. Glucose is cleared rapidly from the bloodstream, and insulin levels return to baseline until the next meal. Under modern dietary conditions, eating frequent meals with refined carbohydrates and sugar throughout the day, insulin levels remain chronically elevated. Over time, cells become resistant to insulin signals because they are constantly being bombarded with them. This is like living next to a fire station and eventually not hearing the sirens anymore. Your cells stop responding appropriately to insulin, which means glucose stays elevated in your bloodstream while your cells are starving for energy. You feel exhausted despite having plenty of fuel available. Insulin resistance is epidemic in modern populations and is the underlying cause of type 2 diabetes, but it causes energy problems long before diabetes develops. Even mild insulin resistance creates blood sugar volatility, increased inflammation, fat storage particularly around the abdomen, hormonal imbalances, and profound fatigue. If you struggle with energy crashes between meals, intense carbohydrate cravings, difficulty losing weight despite calorie restriction, or afternoon energy slumps, insulin resistance is likely contributing. Reversing insulin resistance requires sustained periods of low insulin levels so cells can regain their sensitivity. This means reducing carbohydrate intake, particularly refined carbohydrates and sugar, extending the time between meals so insulin has time to drop to baseline, and incorporating exercise that depletes glucose stores and forces muscles to take up glucose independently of insulin. Many people see dramatic energy improvements within weeks of addressing insulin resistance through these strategies. The second critical hormone is thyroid hormone, which essentially controls your metabolic rate. Your thyroid produces hormones that determine how fast your cells produce energy, how efficiently you burn calories, and your overall vitality. When thyroid function is optimal, you have good energy, maintain healthy body weight easily, stay warm, have healthy skin and hair, and think clearly. When thyroid function is low, you experience fatigue, weight gain, cold intolerance, dry skin, hair loss, depression, and brain fog. Subclinical hypothyroidism, where thyroid function is impaired but not enough to reach diagnostic thresholds for disease, is extremely common and often goes undiagnosed. Standard lab tests only measure TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which might be normal while actual thyroid hormone levels are suboptimal. Comprehensive thyroid testing should include TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and thyroid antibodies to get a complete picture of thyroid function. Multiple factors can impair thyroid function. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which suppresses thyroid hormone production. Inadequate intake of nutrients like iodine, selenium, zinc, and iron impairs thyroid hormone synthesis. Inflammation and autoimmune conditions attack the thyroid gland itself. Chronic dieting and calorie restriction signals your body to reduce metabolic rate by lowering thyroid hormone. Environmental toxins like fluoride, chlorine, and bromide compete with iodine and disrupt thyroid function. Supporting optimal thyroid function requires adequate intake of thyroid supporting nutrients, managing stress to reduce cortisol interference, avoiding chronic calorie restriction that signals starvation, minimizing exposure to thyroid-disrupting toxins, and addressing any underlying inflammation or autoimmune conditions. Some people need thyroid hormone replacement, but many can optimize thyroid function through lifestyle interventions alone if they address the root causes of dysfunction. The third hormone is cortisol, your primary stress hormone. Cortisol is essential for life and energy when properly regulated. It mobilizes energy stores, enhances focus and alertness, regulates inflammation, and helps you respond to challenges. The natural daily rhythm of cortisol, high in the morning and gradually declining throughout the day, supports healthy energy patterns. But chronic stress disrupts this rhythm with devastating consequences for energy. Under prolonged stress, cortisol can become chronically elevated, which depletes energy reserves, promotes abdominal fat storage, suppresses immune function, impairs sleep, and creates insulin resistance. Eventually, after months or years of overproduction, the adrenal glands that produce cortisol can become fatigued and unable to maintain adequate output. This leads to chronically low cortisol, particularly in the morning, resulting in profound fatigue, inability to handle stress, low blood pressure, salt cravings, and difficulty waking up. Testing cortisol levels at multiple times throughout the day through saliva or urine samples reveals your unique cortisol pattern and whether it is optimized for energy. High evening cortisol explains why you feel wired but tired at night. Low morning cortisol explains why you cannot wake up despite adequate sleep. Flat cortisol throughout the day indicates adrenal dysfunction that requires specific support to restore normal function. Restoring healthy cortisol rhythms requires addressing the chronic stressors depleting your system, implementing the stress management practices discussed earlier, supporting adrenal function with adequate sodium intake and specific supplements like vitamin C, B vitamins, and adaptogenic herbs, ensuring adequate sleep and giving your body time to recover. Pushing through adrenal fatigue with stimulants only makes the problem worse. Recovery requires patience and comprehensive lifestyle changes. The fourth hormone system is sex hormones, including testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. These hormones profoundly affect energy, motivation, mood, and physical vitality. Men with low testosterone experience fatigue, reduced motivation, loss of muscle mass, increased body fat, decreased libido, and mood disturbances. Women with estrogen dominance or progesterone deficiency experience fatigue, irritability, sleep disturbances, and energy crashes, particularly in the week before menstruation. Sex hormone imbalances have become epidemic due to endocrine disrupting chemicals in plastics, pesticides, personal care products, and food. These chemicals mimic or block natural hormones, creating imbalances even in young people. Chronic stress also disrupts sex hormone production because cortisol production takes priority over sex hormone production when resources are limited. Your body would rather keep you alive through immediate stress than maintain reproductive capacity. For men, optimizing testosterone naturally requires adequate dietary fat, and cholesterol, which are the building blocks of testosterone, vitamin D, optimization through sun exposure or supplementation, zinc and magnesium sufficiency, strength training, which stimulates testosterone production, adequate sleep, stress management, avoiding endocrine disruptors, and maintaining healthy body composition, since excess body fat converts testosterone to estrogen. For women, hormonal optimization requires supporting progesterone production through stress management and adequate nutrient intake, reducing estrogen dominance by supporting liver detoxification of used hormones, and avoiding xenoestrogens from plastics and chemicals, maintaining regular ovulation through adequate calorie intake and body fat levels, balancing blood sugar, which affects all hormones, and adjusting strategies based on where you are in your menstrual cycle, since energy and needs vary throughout the month. The fifth hormone is growth hormone, which is produced primarily during deep sleep and in response to certain types of exercise. Growth hormone stimulates tissue repair, muscle growth, fat burning, and cellular regeneration. It is literally your anti-aging and recovery hormone. Production naturally declines with age, but lifestyle factors accelerate or slow this decline dramatically. Optimizing growth hormone requires protecting deep sleep, where most production occurs, incorporating high-intensity interval training and strength training, which stimulate growth hormone release, avoiding eating close to bedtime since insulin suppresses growth hormone, managing blood sugar since chronic elevation impairs growth hormone production, and potentially incorporating strategic fasting since growth hormone surges during fasted states to preserve muscle mass while mobilizing fat for fuel. The final hormone to understand is leptin, which regulates hunger, energy expenditure, and metabolism. Leptin is produced by fat cells and signals your brain about your energy stores. When leptin signaling works properly, you naturally regulate food intake and maintain stable body weight. But chronic overeating, particularly of processed foods, can cause leptin resistance where your brain stops responding to leptin signals. You remain hungry even with adequate or excess body fat. Your metabolic rate slows and energy levels drop. Restoring leptin sensitivity requires reducing inflammation, which interferes with leptin signaling, improving sleep quality since leptin is regulated during sleep, avoiding constant snacking, which keeps leptin elevated, incorporating regular physical activity, and potentially using time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting to allow leptin levels to normalize. As leptin sensitivity improves, appetite normalizes, metabolic rate increases, and energy levels rise. The interconnection between all these hormones means that optimizing one helps optimize others, but imbalances in one can disrupt others. This is why comprehensive hormone optimization requires addressing multiple systems simultaneously rather than focusing on just one hormone. The lifestyle interventions that support hormonal health, stress management, quality sleep, nutrient-dense nutrition, strategic exercise, toxin avoidance, and metabolic flexibility benefit all your hormonal systems together. When you successfully optimize your hormones, the transformation in energy levels is profound. You wake up naturally with energy before your alarm. You maintain stable focus and vitality throughout the day without crashes. You have reserves for physical activity and social engagement in the evening. You fall asleep easily and sleep deeply. Your body composition improves. Your mood stabilizes. You feel decades younger. This is not about taking hormone replacement, although that has its place for some people. This is about creating the conditions where your body naturally produces optimal hormone levels. Chapter 8: The hidden toxins stealing your energy every day. Your body is constantly being exposed to thousands of synthetic chemicals that did not exist a century ago. These chemicals are in your food, water, air, personal care products, cleaning supplies, furniture, clothing, and electronics. Many of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, neurotoxins, or mitochondrial toxins that directly impair your ability to produce energy. Unless you actively minimize your toxic exposure, you are carrying a burden of accumulated toxins that is draining your energy without you realizing it. The concept of total toxic load is crucial to understand. No single exposure to any one toxin will destroy your health. But the cumulative effect of constant low-level exposure to hundreds of different toxins overwhelms your body's detoxification systems. Your liver, kidneys, and cellular detoxification pathways can only process a certain amount of toxins per day. When exposure exceeds your processing capacity, toxins accumulate in your tissues, particularly in fat tissue and your brain, which is 60% fat. These accumulated toxins interfere with cellular function in multiple ways. They damage mitochondrial membranes and impair energy production. They disrupt hormonal signaling. They promote inflammation. They interfere with neurotransmitter function, affecting mood and cognition. They burden your liver and kidneys with constant detoxification work that diverts resources from energy production. The result is chronic fatigue that seems to have no obvious cause, but is actually the result of toxic accumulation. Heavy metals are among the most problematic toxins for energy production. Mercury, lead, cadmium, aluminum, and arsenic accumulate in tissues over time and directly poison mitochondrial function. Mercury exposure comes primarily from dental amalgam fillings and large fish like tuna and swordfish. Lead exposure comes from old paint, contaminated water from old pipes, and some imported products. Cadmium comes from cigarette smoke and conventionally grown foods. Aluminum comes from cookware, food additives, antacids, and antiperspirants. Testing for heavy metal accumulation through urine provocation testing, where a chelating agent is given, and then urine is collected to measure what metals are excreted, can reveal toxic burdens that explain mysterious energy problems. Many people who have struggled with chronic fatigue for years discover significant heavy metal toxicity that, once addressed through chelation protocols under medical supervision, resolves their energy issues. Reducing ongoing heavy metal exposure is equally important. Replace amalgam fillings with safer alternatives using a biological dentist who follows proper removal protocols to avoid mercury exposure during removal. Avoid large predatory fish or limit consumption to once weekly. Filter your drinking water with a quality system that removes heavy metals. Use stainless steel or cast iron cookware instead of aluminum. Choose natural deodorants without aluminum. These simple swaps reduce your ongoing toxic burden significantly. Pesticides and herbicides are pervasive in conventionally grown food. Glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup and the most widely used herbicide globally, has been shown to disrupt mitochondrial function, damage gut bacteria, and interfere with the body's ability to detoxify other chemicals. It is sprayed heavily on wheat, oats, and other grains just before harvest to dry them out, meaning even non-GMO foods contain significant residues unless they are organic. Other pesticides, including organophosphates and neonicotinoids, are neurotoxins that interfere with nerve signaling and energy production. These chemicals accumulate in fatty tissues, including your brain, and continue causing problems long after exposure. Children are particularly vulnerable to pesticide exposure, which can cause developmental problems and energy issues that persist into adulthood. Choosing organic produce, particularly for the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list of most contaminated fruits and vegetables, significantly reduces pesticide exposure. For foods where you eat the skin like berries, apples, and leafy greens, organic is especially important. For foods with thick peels, you remove like bananas and avocados. Conventional is lower risk. Organic meat and dairy also matter because animals concentrate toxins from their feed, so organic animal products have much lower toxic load. Plastics contain endocrine-disrupting chemicals like BPA, phthalates, and other compounds that leach into food and beverages, particularly when heated. These chemicals mimic estrogen and disrupt normal hormonal signaling, leading to hormonal imbalances that drain energy. Plastic water bottles left in hot cars, food microwaved in plastic containers, and food stored in plastic wrap or containers all expose you to significant amounts of these hormone disruptors. Switching to glass or stainless steel for food and beverage storage eliminates most plastic exposure. Never microwave food in plastic containers. Avoid canned foods lined with BPA-containing epoxy unless they specifically state BPA-free lining. Choose cardboard or glass-packaged foods over plastic when possible. These changes sound small, but the reduction in endocrine disruptor exposure is substantial and often leads to noticeable improvements in energy and hormonal symptoms. Personal care products are a major source of toxic exposure that most people never consider. The average woman applies over 100 different chemicals to her skin every morning through soaps, shampoos, lotions, makeup, and other products. Many of these chemicals are absorbed through the skin and enter the bloodstream, adding to toxic burden. Ingredients like parabens, phthalates, synthetic fragrances, and triclosan disrupt hormones and impair detoxification systems. Reading ingredient labels and choosing products with short lists of recognizable ingredients dramatically reduces this exposure. The Environmental Working Group's Skin Deep database rates the safety of personal care products and helps identify cleaner alternatives. Brands that formulate without toxic ingredients are increasingly available. For products you use daily like deodorant, toothpaste, shampoo, and lotion, making clean swaps provides significant benefit. Air quality is often overlooked as a source of toxic exposure. Indoor air can be more polluted than outdoor air due to off-gassing from furniture, carpets, paint, and building materials, plus cleaning product fumes, mold, and inadequate ventilation. You breathe approximately 20,000 breaths per day, so air quality has enormous impact on toxic load. Poor indoor air quality causes fatigue, headaches, brain fog, and respiratory issues. Improving indoor air quality starts with opening windows regularly to bring in fresh air and dilute indoor pollutants. HEPA air purifiers remove particulates and allergens. Avoiding synthetic air fresheners, candles with synthetic fragrances, and harsh cleaning products reduces chemical exposure. Houseplants like snake plants and pothos help filter certain air pollutants. Addressing any water damage or visible mold prevents mycotoxin exposure, which can cause severe chronic fatigue. Water quality is another critical factor. Tap water contains chlorine, fluoride, heavy metals, pesticides, pharmaceutical residues, and other contaminants depending on your location. Chlorine and fluoride are halogens that compete with iodine for uptake by your thyroid, potentially contributing to hypothyroidism and low energy. Heavy metals in water accumulate in tissues over time. Pharmaceutical residues include hormones and other medications that create subtle hormonal disruptions. Installing a quality water filter that removes contaminants while preserving beneficial minerals protects you from these exposures. Reverse osmosis systems remove nearly all contaminants, but also remove minerals, so remineralization is necessary. Carbon filters remove chlorine, volatile organic compounds, and many other chemicals. Testing your water to know what contaminants are present allows you to choose the appropriate filtration system. Supporting your body's natural detoxification systems helps process and eliminate toxins you cannot avoid. Your liver is the primary detoxification organ and requires specific nutrients to function optimally. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts contain compounds that support liver detoxification pathways. Sulfur-rich foods like garlic, onions, and eggs provide sulfur needed for conjugation of toxins. Adequate protein provides amino acids needed for detoxification chemistry. Sweating through exercise or sauna use helps eliminate toxins through your skin. Studies show that sweat contains heavy metals and other toxins, making regular sweating an effective detoxification strategy. Staying well hydrated supports kidney function and toxin elimination through urine. Adequate fiber intake, particularly from vegetables and flax seeds, helps bind toxins in your digestive tract for elimination in stool rather than reabsorption. Specific supplements can enhance detoxification capacity. Glutathione, your body's master antioxidant, is critical for detoxification, but becomes depleted under high toxic load. N-acetylcysteine is a precursor to glutathione that supports production. Milk thistle supports liver health and detoxification. Activated charcoal binds toxins in the digestive tract. Chlorella, a green algae, binds heavy metals and supports elimination. These supplements are particularly helpful during active detoxification protocols. The energy transformation that occurs when you reduce toxic load and support detoxification is remarkable. Brain fog that has persisted for years suddenly clears. Chronic fatigue that seemed untreatable resolves. Hormonal symptoms improve. Sleep quality enhances. Mood stabilizes. Your body stops spending enormous energy trying to manage constant toxic exposure and can redirect that energy toward performance and vitality. Addressing environmental toxins is not optional if you want optimal energy. It is a fundamental requirement. Chapter 9. The Circadian Rhythm Mastery for 24-Hour Energy. Your body operates on biological rhythms that have been calibrated by millions of years of evolution to align with the 24-hour cycle of day and night. These circadian rhythms regulate nearly every physiological process, including hormone production, body temperature, digestion, immune function, and energy levels. When your behavior aligns with these natural rhythms, you experience effortless energy throughout the day and deep restoration at night. When you fight against your circadian rhythms, you create constant physiological stress that depletes energy and damages health. The suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain is your master circadian clock. It receives input primarily from light exposure hitting your eyes and uses that information to coordinate all the peripheral clocks throughout your body. Every organ and tissue has its own circadian clock that regulates when it functions optimally. Your liver knows what time it is and performs different functions at different times. Your digestive system operates on a rhythm. Your muscles have optimal performance windows. Your brain has predictable cycles of alertness and creativity. When these peripheral clocks are synchronized with each other and with the external day-night cycle, you experience optimal health and energy. But modern life systematically disrupts this synchronization through artificial light exposure at night, inconsistent sleep-wake times, eating at random hours, excessive indoor time without daylight exposure, and shift work. The result is circadian misalignment, a state where your internal biology is out of sync with itself and with the external environment. The consequences of circadian misalignment go far beyond just feeling tired. Studies on shift workers, who have the most severe circadian disruption, show dramatically increased rates of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, depression, and certain cancers. Their life expectancy is measurably shorter than people with regular schedules. Even moderate circadian disruption, like staying up late on weekends and sleeping in, creates measurable health impacts. Your circadian system is not flexible or forgiving. It requires consistency and appropriate timing to function optimally. The first principle of circadian optimization is consistent wake and sleep times. Your body needs to know when it is time to be alert and when it is time to sleep. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every single day, including weekends, within a 30-minute window, allows your circadian rhythm to stabilize and optimize. This consistency is more important than any other single intervention for energy levels. Most people resist this level of consistency because it feels restrictive. But the freedom it creates, the freedom from constant fatigue and energy volatility, far exceeds the minor inconvenience of a regular schedule. Think of it like training for a sport. Elite athletes maintain strict training schedules because consistency produces results. Your circadian system requires the same commitment to consistency. The second principle is strategic light exposure. Light is the primary Zeitgeber, the environmental cue that sets your circadian clock. The timing, intensity, and spectrum of light you expose yourself to determines whether your circadian rhythm is optimized or disrupted. Most people get this exactly backwards: not enough light during the day and too much light at night. Within the first hour of waking, ideally within 30 minutes, you should get outside and expose your eyes to natural sunlight for at least 10 to 15 minutes. No sunglasses, no windows between you and the sun, just direct outdoor light exposure. This bright light exposure, particularly the blue light wavelengths abundant in morning sunlight, powerfully signals to your circadian clock that it is daytime. It suppresses any remaining melatonin, boosts cortisol appropriately for morning alertness, and starts the countdown timer for when you will become naturally sleepy that evening. If you absolutely cannot get outside in the morning due to weather or schedule, a light therapy box that provides 10,000 lux of bright light can substitute, though natural sunlight is superior. Sit in front of the light box for 20 to 30 minutes while having breakfast or coffee. This is particularly important in winter months at higher latitudes, where sunrise occurs late and daylight is limited. Throughout the day, maximizing bright light exposure supports alertness and mood. Working near windows, taking outdoor breaks, and spending lunchtime outside all contribute to strong circadian signals. Your ancestors spent most daylight hours outdoors in bright sun. Your biology expects this level of light exposure. Spending all day in dim indoor lighting, typically only a few hundred lux, creates weak circadian signals and contributes to afternoon energy slumps. As evening approaches and natural light fades, your light exposure should decrease dramatically. This is where most people destroy their circadian rhythms. Bright overhead lighting, computer screens, tablets, phones, and televisions all emit blue wavelength light that your brain interprets as sunlight. Even relatively dim indoor lighting at night is enough to suppress melatonin production and delay your circadian clock, making it harder to fall asleep and reducing sleep quality. The solution is dimming lights throughout your home in the evening, switching to warm-colored bulbs instead of cool white, using salt lamps or candles for ambient lighting, and wearing blue light blocking glasses that filter the blue wavelengths if you must use screens. These glasses are inexpensive and dramatically reduce the circadian disruption from evening screen time. Ideally, all screens would be turned off 2 hours before bed, but blue blockers make evening screen time much less harmful. The third principle is meal timing alignment with your circadian rhythm. Your digestive system, like all your organs, functions according to a circadian rhythm. It is optimized for processing food during daylight hours when you are active. Eating late in the evening, particularly within 3 hours of bedtime, forces your digestive system to work when it should be resting. This disrupts sleep quality and contributes to metabolic dysfunction. Time-restricted eating, consuming all your food within a 10 to 12-hour window that aligns with daylight hours, supports circadian rhythm optimization. Most people benefit from finishing their last meal by 7 or 8 p.m. and not eating breakfast until 7 or 8 a.m., creating a 12-hour overnight fast. Some people extend this and eat within an 8-hour window, fasting for 16 hours, which provides additional benefits but is not necessary for most people. When you eat within a consistent daily window, your digestive hormones and enzymes become entrained to that schedule and function more efficiently. You digest food better, absorb nutrients more completely, and avoid the blood sugar disturbances that occur when eating at random times. Many people find that simply shifting to time-restricted eating, without changing what they eat, improves energy levels significantly. The timing of specific nutrients also matters for circadian optimization. Protein and fats can be eaten anytime without major circadian impact. But carbohydrates have timing considerations. Carbohydrates increase serotonin and, later, melatonin production, which promotes relaxation and sleep. Eating carbohydrates in the evening can support sleep quality. But eating high carbohydrate breakfasts often leads to energy crashes mid-morning. Many people benefit from higher protein and fat breakfasts with carbohydrates shifted toward evening. Caffeine timing is critical for circadian health. Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is a byproduct of energy production that accumulates throughout the day and creates sleep pressure. Caffeine prevents you from feeling this sleep pressure, which is why it reduces feelings of tiredness. But adenosine continues accumulating behind the blocked receptors. When caffeine wears off, all that accumulated adenosine hits at once, creating the caffeine crash. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, meaning that half of the caffeine from a 2 p.m. coffee is still in your system at 8 p.m. It continues to interfere with adenosine signaling and reduces sleep quality even if you can still fall asleep. The rule for optimal circadian function is no caffeine after noon, and preferably no caffeine after 10 a.m. This ensures that caffeine has mostly cleared from your system by bedtime. Many people believe they need afternoon caffeine to maintain energy, but this need is often created by caffeine itself disrupting sleep quality, leading to genuine tiredness that requires more caffeine, creating a dependency cycle. When you eliminate afternoon caffeine, the first few days are difficult as your body adjusts. But within a week, your natural circadian rhythm of energy reasserts itself, sleep quality improves, and you discover you have more natural energy than when you were relying on caffeine. The fourth principle is aligning exercise with your circadian rhythm. Your body temperature, hormone levels, and muscle function all follow circadian patterns that create optimal exercise windows. Most people have peak physical performance in the late afternoon or early evening when body temperature is highest and muscles are most responsive. Exercise during these windows produces better results with less injury risk. Morning exercise is excellent for circadian entrainment and mood enhancement, but may not produce optimal performance since your body has not fully warmed up. Evening exercise, too close to bedtime, can interfere with sleep by raising core temperature and activating the sympathetic nervous system when you should be winding down. The sweet spot for most people is late afternoon or early evening, at least 3 hours before bedtime. The type of exercise also has circadian considerations. High-intensity training is best performed when cortisol is naturally higher earlier in the day. Evening high-intensity exercise can spike cortisol inappropriately and interfere with sleep. Gentle movement, like walking or yoga in the evening, supports the natural wind-down process without creating activation that impairs sleep. The fifth principle is temperature regulation according to circadian rhythms. Your core body temperature follows a predictable daily pattern, lowest in the early morning hours and highest in the late afternoon. This temperature rhythm is both driven by and helps regulate your circadian clock. You can leverage temperature to enhance circadian function. Exposing yourself to warmer temperatures during the day through sunlight, warm beverages, or even warm showers helps elevate core temperature and promotes alertness. Allowing yourself to cool down in the evening through cooler ambient temperature, avoiding late evening hot showers, and sleeping in a cool room facilitates the core temperature drop needed for sleep initiation and deep sleep. Hot baths or showers can support sleep if timed correctly, 90 minutes before bed. The initial warming is followed by rapid cooling as water evaporates, which mimics and accelerates the natural evening temperature drop. This can help sleep onset, particularly for people who tend to run warm or have difficulty falling asleep. When you align all aspects of your daily rhythm with your natural circadian biology, waking and sleeping at consistent times, getting bright light in the morning and darkness at night, eating within a consistent daily window, exercising at optimal times, and managing temperature appropriately, something remarkable happens. You stop needing alarm clocks because you wake naturally at your set time. Morning grogginess disappears, and you have energy immediately upon waking. Afternoon energy slumps vanish. You accomplish more with less effort because you are working with your biology instead of against it. Evening relaxation comes naturally, and sleep is deep and restorative. This is the power of circadian rhythm mastery. Chapter 10. The mental energy secrets of peak performers. Physical energy is only part of the equation. Mental and emotional energy determine your productivity creativity, decision-making quality, and ability to handle challenges. You can have perfect physical health, but still feel drained if your mental energy is being depleted by poor cognitive habits, emotional patterns, and information management practices. Peak performers understand that mental energy is finite and precious, and they guard it obsessively. The first principle of mental energy optimization is understanding that your brain consumes a disproportionate amount of your total energy. Despite representing only 2% of your body weight, your brain uses approximately 20% of your total energy production. Every thought, decision, emotion, and cognitive task requires ATP. When you overload your cognitive capacity or waste mental energy on unnecessary processing, you deplete your overall energy reserves just as surely as physical overexertion. Decision fatigue is one of the primary ways people waste mental energy without realizing it. Every decision you make, no matter how small, consumes mental resources. What to wear, what to eat, which email to respond to first, whether to accept an invitation, what route to take to work. By the end of a day, filled with hundreds of minor decisions, your decision-making capacity is depleted. This is why you make poor choices in the evening, why willpower fails at night, and why you feel mentally exhausted even when you have not done particularly demanding cognitive work. The solution is decision elimination through routines and systems. Peak performers minimize the number of decisions they make by creating default choices for recurring situations. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. Barack Obama reduced his wardrobe to only blue or gray suits. These are not quirks or eccentricities. They are strategic decisions to preserve mental energy for important matters by eliminating trivial decisions. You can apply this principle throughout your life. Establish a standard breakfast that requires no decision-making. Create a morning routine that runs on autopilot. Develop systems for handling common situations so you do not have to decide from scratch every time. Batch similar tasks together so you make one decision to work on emails rather than deciding whether to respond to each individual message. Every automatic routine and system you create frees up mental energy for higher value cognitive work. The second principle is cognitive load management. Your working memory can only hold a limited amount of information simultaneously, typically 4 to 7 items. When you try to track too many things mentally, you overwhelm this capacity and performance degrades across all tasks. Multitasking, despite being glorified in modern culture, is actually rapid task switching that depletes mental energy and reduces quality on all tasks attempted. The solution is single tasking, with full focus on one priority at a time. Close unnecessary browser tabs and applications. Turn off notifications. Put your phone in another room. Create an environment where your attention can remain focused rather than being constantly fragmented. Studies consistently show that focused single tasking produces higher quality output in less time with less mental fatigue than attempting to multitask. Using external systems to track information instead of holding it in your mind also reduces cognitive load dramatically. David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology is built on this principle. Every commitment, idea, or task that you try to remember occupies mental RAM and creates background stress. Writing everything down in a trusted system frees up that mental energy for actual thinking and creating rather than just remembering. The third principle is managing attention as your most valuable resource. In the modern information age, attention has become more valuable than time. You can have unlimited time, but if your attention is fragmented and reactive, you will accomplish nothing meaningful. Your ability to direct and sustain attention on important matters determines your productivity and the quality of your work far more than the hours you spend working. Most people have destroyed their attention capacity through years of constant distraction. Social media, news sites, messaging apps, email, and smartphone notifications have trained your brain to expect constant novel stimuli. This creates a state of continuous partial attention where you are never fully focused on anything. Your mind constantly scans for new inputs rather than engaging deeply with what is in front of you. This fragmented attention is mentally exhausting and prevents the deep work that produces meaningful results. Rebuilding attention capacity requires deliberate practice. Start with short periods of focused attention without any distractions, even 5 or 10 minutes, and gradually extend the duration. Use techniques like the Pomodoro method, working in focused 25-minute blocks followed by 5-minute breaks. Practice meditation, which is essentially attention training. The goal is to rewire your brain for sustained focus rather than constant task switching. The fourth principle is energy management through strategic breaks and recovery. Your brain cannot maintain peak cognitive performance continuously. You have natural, ultradian rhythms of approximately 90 to 120 minutes, where focus and energy are high, followed by periods where they decline. Working with these rhythms, rather than against them, maximizes mental energy throughout the day. The optimal work pattern is 90 minutes of focused work, followed by a 15 to 20-minute break where you completely disengage. During breaks, avoid continuing to consume information through your phone or computer. Instead, move your body, go outside, have a conversation, do something with your hands, or allow your mind to wander. These genuine breaks allow mental recovery and often produce creative insights as your diffuse mode of thinking processes what you were working on. Taking a midday break of 30 to 60 minutes for lunch away from your workspace, ideally outside in natural light, provides crucial recovery that prevents afternoon energy crashes. Most people work straight through lunch while eating at their desks, never giving their brains a true break from morning until evening. This sustained cognitive load without recovery depletes mental energy and reduces afternoon productivity. A proper lunch break actually increases total output by maintaining energy and focus through the afternoon. The fifth principle is managing emotional energy, which is distinct from, but interconnected with mental energy. Emotions are not just psychological experiences. They are physiological states that require significant energy to generate and maintain. Chronic negative emotions like anxiety, resentment, worry, and anger are incredibly energy expensive. They activate stress responses, elevate cortisol, increase muscle tension, and consume mental resources with rumination and negative thought patterns. Emotional regulation is therefore essential for energy optimization. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be positive when you are not. It means developing the capacity to recognize emotional states, understand what triggered them, and choose how to respond rather than being controlled by reactive emotional patterns. The techniques discussed in earlier chapters for managing stress and emotional responses apply equally to preserving mental and emotional energy. Positive emotions like gratitude, curiosity, connection, and purpose are energy generating rather than energy depleting. deliberately cultivating these states through gratitude practices, engaging in meaningful work, nurturing relationships, and pursuing activities that create flow states actually increases your available energy. This is why peak performers prioritize activities and relationships that energize them and minimize those that drain them. The sixth principle is information diet management. Just as your food diet affects your physical energy, your information diet affects your mental energy. Consuming negative news, outrage-driven social media, gossip, and low-quality entertainment fills your mind with mental junk food that depletes cognitive resources without providing value. The content you consume shapes your thoughts, emotions, and mental state more than most people realize. Curating your information inputs to emphasize high quality, enriching content while eliminating toxic or trivial information dramatically improves mental energy. This means being highly selective about news consumption, perhaps limiting it to a brief weekly review rather than constant updates. It means unfollowing social media accounts that trigger negative emotions and following accounts that inspire or educate. It means choosing books, podcasts, and conversations that challenge and develop you rather than just entertaining you. The seventh principle is leveraging your chronotype for peak mental performance. Your circadian rhythm includes not just when you sleep, but when your brain functions optimally for different types of cognitive work. Most people have peak analytical and focused thinking capacity within 2 to 4 hours after waking. Creative and insight-based thinking often peaks later, in a more relaxed state. Understanding your personal cognitive rhythm allows you to schedule demanding work during your natural peak times. Protecting your peak mental hours for your most important cognitive work is one of the highest leverage time management strategies. Do not waste your morning peak on email, meetings, or administrative tasks. Reserve those hours for deep work that requires your full cognitive capacity. Schedule meetings and routine tasks for afternoon when your energy naturally declines. This alignment between task demands and natural cognitive rhythms allows you to accomplish more while expending less mental energy. The eighth principle is the strategic use of cognitive enhancers and the avoidance of cognitive depleters. Certain substances and activities enhance cognitive function and mental energy, while others deplete it. Caffeine, used strategically in the morning and early afternoon, can enhance focus and energy. But as discussed, timing matters enormously. L-theanine, found in green tea or available as a supplement, promotes calm focus without the jittery side effects of caffeine alone. Certain nootropics or cognitive enhancers show evidence for supporting mental energy and performance. Creatine supplementation supports brain energy metabolism. Omega-3 fatty acids support brain structure and function. Bacopa monnieri and lion's mane mushroom support cognitive performance. Rhodiola rosea helps with mental fatigue. Alpha-GPC supports acetylcholine production for memory and focus. These supplements are not magic bullets, but can support mental energy when combined with foundational lifestyle optimization. On the opposite side, alcohol is one of the most significant cognitive depleters. Even small amounts impair sleep quality, reduce REM sleep where cognitive processing occurs, and create next-day cognitive fog that people often do not connect to the previous night's drinking. The two-drink evening that seems harmless creates measurable cognitive impairment for the entire next day. For optimal mental energy, minimizing or eliminating alcohol consumption produces dramatic improvements. The ninth principle is social energy management. Human interactions have profound effects on energy levels. Some people energize you while others drain you. Some conversations leave you feeling inspired and capable, while others leave you depleted and discouraged. Peak performers are intentional about who they spend time with and how they structure social interactions to maximize energizing connections while minimizing energy drains. This does not mean being selfish or abandoning relationships. It means recognizing that your social energy is finite and should be invested where it produces mutual benefit and genuine connection. Toxic relationships that are characterized by constant criticism, drama, negativity, or one-sided energy flow should be minimized or eliminated. Relationships that are reciprocal, supportive, and inspiring should be prioritized and nurtured. Setting boundaries around your time and energy is essential. Learn to say no to social obligations that do not align with your priorities or that you know will drain rather than energize you. This feels uncomfortable initially, but becomes easier with practice. People who respect you will understand and appreciate your honesty. Those who respond with guilt, tripping, or manipulation reveal that they were primarily interested in taking your energy rather than genuine relationship. The 10th principle is purpose and meaning as sources of mental energy. Having a clear sense of purpose, knowing why your work and activities matter, provides a renewable source of motivation and energy that transcends momentary feelings. People with strong purpose can persist through difficulty and fatigue because they are connected to something larger than immediate comfort or pleasure. Clarifying your values, identifying what truly matters to you, and ensuring your daily activities align with those values prevents the energy drain of living incongruently. When you spend your days doing work you find meaningless, maintaining relationships out of obligation, or pursuing goals you do not actually care about, it creates existential exhaustion that no amount of sleep or nutrition can resolve. Alignment between your actions and your authentic values generates energy naturally. Purpose is not something you find through introspection alone. It emerges through action, experimentation, and paying attention to what energizes versus depletes you. Notice which activities create flow states where you lose track of time because you are fully engaged. Notice which problems you find yourself drawn to solving. Notice which contributions make you feel satisfied and alive. Following these signals leads you toward work and activities that generate rather than consume energy. When you optimize mental energy through decision, elimination, cognitive load management, attention discipline, strategic breaks, emotional regulation, information diet, chronotype alignment, cognitive enhancement, social energy management, and purpose alignment, you develop cognitive stamina and mental clarity that most people never experience. You think faster and more creatively. You make better decisions. You remain productive throughout the day. Mental work that used to leave you exhausted becomes energizing. This level of cognitive performance is not reserved for the genetically gifted. It is available to anyone willing to manage mental energy as strategically as they manage physical energy. Chapter 11. The Recovery and Regeneration Protocols for Sustained High Performance. Everything discussed so far about building energy capacity means nothing if you do not master recovery. Your body builds capacity during recovery periods, not during the stress that creates the need for adaptation. Sleep is crucial, but it is not the only form of recovery required for sustained high performance. You need comprehensive recovery strategies that address all the systems involved in energy production and allow your body to repair, regenerate, and prepare for future demands. The first principle is understanding that recovery is not passive rest. It is active regeneration that requires specific inputs and practices. Lying on the couch, watching television, is not recovery. Your body remains in the same posture. Your mind continues processing information from the screen, and your nervous system stays activated. True recovery involves practices that actively shift your physiology into parasympathetic mode and provide the conditions for cellular repair and adaptation. Active recovery includes gentle movement that promotes blood flow without adding significant stress. Walking, swimming, yoga, tai chi, and stretching all qualify. These activities deliver oxygen and nutrients to tissues, remove metabolic waste products, reduce muscle tension, and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Paradoxically, gentle movement often leaves you feeling more energized than complete rest because it supports the physiological processes of recovery rather than just avoiding stress. The second principle is nervous system recovery through parasympathetic activation. Your autonomic nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic nervous system activates stress responses for dealing with challenges. The parasympathetic nervous system activates rest and digest mode for recovery and restoration. Modern life keeps most people stuck in sympathetic dominance, constantly activated without adequate parasympathetic recovery time. Practices that activate the parasympathetic nervous system are essential for recovery. Deep breathing, particularly with extended exhales, directly stimulates the vagus nerve, which controls parasympathetic activation. Meditation and mindfulness practices shift brainwave patterns toward calmer states. Gentle yoga, particularly restorative poses, promotes parasympathetic activation. Massage, whether professional or self-massage with foam rollers, activates relaxation responses. Time in nature, especially near water, promotes parasympathetic activation through multiple mechanisms. Building parasympathetic activation into your daily routine ensures you do not accumulate stress without recovery. Morning meditation sets a calm baseline before the day's demands begin. Midday breathing practices reset your nervous system. Evening wind-down routines transition you from work mode to recovery mode. Weekend activities that genuinely relax you provide deeper recovery. This is not optional or indulgent. It is required maintenance for your nervous system. The third principle is strategic deloading across all domains. Athletes understand periodization, the concept of cycling between periods of intense training and periods of reduced load to allow adaptation and prevent overtraining. This same principle applies to cognitive work, emotional demands, and life stress in general. You cannot maintain maximum intensity indefinitely without burning out. Strategic deloading means intentionally reducing demands periodically before you are forced to by exhaustion or illness. This might mean taking a week with reduced work hours and no evening commitments after several intense weeks. It might mean scheduling a quarterly retreat where you completely disconnect from work and technology. It might mean saying no to new commitments until you complete current projects. The specific implementation varies, but the principle remains. Proactive recovery before forced recovery. Most people push until they break and then have to take unplanned time off for recovery, often due to illness or complete burnout. This approach is far less efficient than planned recovery periods that prevent the breakdown from occurring. Elite performers build recovery into their schedules as seriously as they schedule work and training. They understand that sustainable high performance requires strategic periods of reduced intensity. The fourth principle is sleep optimization beyond just duration. While we have already discussed sleep extensively, it bears repeating that sleep quality determines your recovery capacity more than any other single factor. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released to repair tissues and build muscle. Immune function peaks to fight infections and clear cellular debris. Your brain consolidates memories and clears metabolic waste products. Your energy systems are restored and prepared for the next day. The difference between adequate sleep and optimized sleep is the difference between barely maintaining function and building superior capacity. Adequate sleep keeps you from falling apart. Optimized sleep makes you stronger, sharper, and more resilient. This requires attention to all the factors discussed in the sleep chapter: circadian alignment, room environment, temperature, stress management, and sleep routine consistency. The fifth principle is nutritional support for recovery. Your body needs specific nutrients to repair tissues, produce new cellular structures, and clear metabolic waste. Protein provides amino acids for tissue repair and is especially important in the hours after exercise. Carbohydrates replenish glycogen stores that were depleted during activity. Healthy fats support hormone production and reduce inflammation. Micronutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin C support immune function and tissue repair. Timing nutrient intake to support recovery enhances adaptation. Consuming protein and carbohydrates within a few hours after intense exercise supports optimal recovery. Avoiding large meals late at night allows your body to focus on cellular repair rather than digestion. Staying well hydrated throughout the day supports all recovery processes, since every biochemical reaction in your body occurs in aqueous solution. Anti-inflammatory foods and compounds accelerate recovery by reducing the inflammation that exercise and stress create. Omega-3, fatty acids from fish, tart cherry juice, turmeric, ginger, and colorful fruits and vegetables all provide anti-inflammatory benefits. This does not mean eliminating all inflammation, which is part of the adaptive response, but preventing excessive inflammation that slows recovery and causes damage. The sixth principle is tissue maintenance through mobility and flexibility work. Muscle tension, restricted fascia, and movement limitations accumulate from daily activities and exercise. This tissue restriction reduces blood flow, limits movement quality, and creates compensation patterns that lead to injury. Regular mobility and flexibility work prevents this accumulation and maintains optimal tissue function. Dedicating 15 to 20 minutes daily to stretching, foam rolling, or mobility drills pays enormous dividends for recovery and long-term function. This can be done in the evening as part of your wind-down routine, combining physical recovery with nervous system relaxation. Yoga classes, if practiced mindfully rather than as intense workouts, provide comprehensive tissue maintenance along with breathing and relaxation benefits. The seventh principle is psychological and emotional recovery. Mental and emotional stress create physiological demands just as physical activity does. If you never allow your mind to fully rest from problem solving, planning, and information processing, you never achieve complete recovery. Constantly thinking about work, worrying about problems, or consuming information through screens prevents psychological recovery even when you are not physically active. Creating technology-free time especially in the evening and on weekends, allows genuine psychological recovery. Reading fiction that engages your imagination, having conversations that do not revolve around work or problems, engaging in hobbies that absorb your attention in flow states, and spending time in nature all provide mental recovery. The key is activities that engage your mind in ways completely different from your typical mental work. Emotional recovery requires processing rather than suppressing difficult emotions. Journaling, talking with trusted friends or therapists, or engaging in expressive activities like art or music helps process emotions rather than carrying them as unresolved tension. Many people remain energetically depleted because they are carrying years of unprocessed emotional baggage that consumes resources, maintaining suppression and preventing full recovery. The eighth principle is seasonal variation in intensity and focus. Natural rhythms include not just daily and weekly cycles, but seasonal patterns. Traditional cultures align their activities with seasons, working intensely during planting and harvest, while resting more during winter months. Modern life maintains constant intensity year-round, which prevents the natural recovery periods that seasonal variation provides. While you may not be able to completely align with seasons, you can create your own seasonal variation. Perhaps winter is a time for more introspection, learning, and planning with reduced social commitments. Summer might be more active and social. Alternating periods of intense external focus with periods of internal focus and recovery create sustainability that constant intensity cannot maintain. The ninth principle is systematic identification and elimination of recovery obstacles. Many people sabotage their own recovery through habits and choices they do not recognize as problematic. Late evening alcohol consumption disrupts sleep architecture and impairs overnight recovery. Chronic overcommitment prevents adequate time for recovery practices. Toxic relationships create constant stress that prevents full parasympathetic activation. Excessive screen time interferes with both sleep and psychological recovery. Conducting an honest audit of recovery obstacles in your life and systematically addressing them produces dramatic improvements. What habits are interfering with sleep quality? What commitments are preventing adequate downtime? What relationships are sources of chronic stress? What environmental factors are preventing recovery? Many of these obstacles are within your control once you recognize them and commit to change. The 10th principle is that recovery must be planned and protected with the same commitment as training or work. Most people schedule every hour with activities and obligations, hoping to somehow fit recovery into whatever time remains. This approach ensures inadequate recovery because recovery time always gets displaced by seemingly more urgent demands. The only solution is scheduling recovery with the same non-negotiable commitment you bring to important meetings or deadlines. This means blocking time for sleep with specific bedtime and wake times that are protected. Scheduling exercise, recovery days where no intense training occurs. Planning technology-free evenings or weekends. Saying no to commitments that would eliminate recovery time. This level of commitment to recovery feels self-indulgent to people raised to believe that constant productivity is virtuous. But sustainable high performance requires recovery. Skipping recovery does not make you more productive. It makes you progressively less capable until forced recovery through illness or burnout occurs. When you master comprehensive recovery through active regeneration, parasympathetic activation, strategic deloading, sleep optimization, nutritional support, tissue maintenance, psychological recovery, seasonal variation, obstacle elimination, and protected recovery time. You develop resilience and capacity that compounds over time. You bounce back from challenges faster. You adapt to training more effectively. You maintain high performance sustainably rather than burning out. Recovery is not time away from building capacity. Recovery is when capacity is actually built. Chapter 12: The Integrated Energy Optimization System for Lifelong Vitality. Everything discussed throughout this audiobook comes together into an integrated system where each element supports and enhances the others. Optimize one element, and you get modest improvements. Optimize multiple elements simultaneously, and you create synergistic effects where the total benefit exceeds the sum of individual parts. This is how you achieve the dramatic energy transformation that seems impossible to people who only make isolated changes. The foundation is understanding that energy optimization is not a destination you reach, but a process you commit to for life. There is no point where you can declare victory and stop paying attention. Your body and circumstances constantly change, requiring ongoing adjustment and recommitment to the practices that support optimal energy. The good news is that once you establish the core habits and systems, maintenance becomes relatively effortless because you are working with your biology rather than fighting against it. Starting this journey requires prioritization because attempting to change everything simultaneously leads to overwhelm and failure. The most powerful starting point for most people is circadian rhythm optimization combined with sleep quality improvement. These foundational elements affect every other system in your body. Fix your sleep and circadian alignment first, and every other intervention becomes more effective. Continue struggling with poor sleep and circadian disruption, and nothing else will fully work. Spend the first month establishing consistent wake and sleep times, getting morning sunlight exposure, reducing evening light exposure, and optimizing your sleep environment. Track your progress and notice how energy levels improve as sleep quality enhances. Once you have established strong sleep habits that run on autopilot, you have created the foundation for all other improvements. The second priority is addressing insulin resistance and blood sugar stability through nutrition changes. This means reducing or eliminating refined carbohydrates and sugar, emphasizing protein and healthy fats, eating within a consistent daily time window, and spacing meals to allow insulin to return to baseline. Most people experience noticeable energy improvements within 1 to 2 weeks of stabilizing blood sugar. This provides momentum and motivation to continue with additional changes. The third priority is establishing a strategic exercise routine that includes high-intensity intervals for mitochondrial biogenesis, strength training for metabolic health, and daily movement to prevent the negative effects of sedentary time. Start with what you can sustain, even if it is just 10 minutes of intervals twice weekly and a daily walk. Consistency matters more than volume in the beginning. You are building habits that will last a lifetime, not training for a competition. The fourth priority is implementing comprehensive stress management through daily breathing practices, regular time in nature, nervous system recovery techniques, and systematic elimination of unnecessary stressors. This is often the element people resist most because it requires setting boundaries and saying no to commitments. But without stress management, the physiological burden of chronic stress undermines all your other optimization efforts. The fifth priority is optimizing your information and social environments. Curate your information inputs to eliminate toxic or low-value content. Minimize or eliminate exposure to news and social media that activates stress without providing value. Invest time in relationships that energize you and create distance from relationships that drain you. These environmental factors have constant influence on your energy levels and deserve the same attention as nutrition and exercise. As you establish these 5 foundational priorities, additional optimizations can be layered in based on your specific needs and circumstances. Hormone testing and optimization if you have symptoms suggesting hormonal imbalances. Comprehensive toxin elimination if you have been exposed to high levels of environmental toxins. Advanced recovery protocols if you are pursuing intense training or have demanding work. Cognitive enhancement strategies if your work is primarily mental and creative. The key is systematic implementation rather than random experimentation. Choose one element to focus on, implement it fully until it becomes automatic, then add the next element. This sequential approach creates compound habits where each new practice builds on established foundations. Within 6 to 12 months, you can have completely transformed your energy systems through this systematic approach. Tracking your progress is essential for maintaining motivation and identifying what works best for your individual biology. Keep a daily log of key metrics: sleep quality and duration, energy levels throughout the day, exercise completed, stress levels, mood, and any symptoms. Review this data weekly to identify patterns and trends. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. Investigate setbacks to understand what disrupted your routine and how to prevent similar disruptions. Testing can provide objective data to guide your optimization. Comprehensive blood work, including a complete metabolic panel, thyroid hormones, vitamin D, B12, iron, magnesium, and hemoglobin A1C, reveals many common deficiencies and imbalances. Salivary cortisol testing at 4 points throughout the day shows whether your stress hormone rhythm is optimized. Sleep tracking devices or apps provide data on sleep quality and circadian alignment. Heart rate variability monitoring reveals how well your nervous system is recovering from stress. These tests should be viewed as tools for optimization, not as diagnostic absolutes. You are not looking for disease. You are looking for opportunities to move from adequate to optimal. Many conventional reference ranges reflect average values in populations with widespread health problems, not optimal values for peak performance. Working with functional medicine practitioners who understand optimization rather than just disease treatment helps interpret results in this context. The concept of biological age versus chronological age becomes relevant as you optimize your energy systems. The lifestyle factors that enhance energy also slow aging at the cellular level. Protecting mitochondrial function, reducing inflammation, optimizing hormones, managing stress, and maintaining strong circadian rhythms all contribute to slower aging. People who implement comprehensive energy optimization often have biological ages 10 to 20 years younger than their chronological age as measured by advanced testing. This means you are not just feeling more energetic. You are literally becoming biologically younger, reversing damage that has accumulated over years or decades. Your cells are functioning better. Your organs are working more efficiently. Your brain is sharper. Your body is more resilient. This is not temporary improvement, that requires constant effort to maintain. You are creating lasting changes in how your body functions at the cellular level. The financial investment required for energy optimization is modest compared to the returns. Quality food costs more than processed food, but you likely need less total food when you are eating nutrient-dense options and have stabilized blood sugar. A gym membership or home exercise equipment is a one-time or monthly expense that replaces healthcare costs for preventable lifestyle diseases. Supplements that address specific deficiencies cost far less than prescription medications for the conditions those deficiencies cause. Quality sleep requires only environmental changes that have minimal cost. The time investment is also less than it appears. Yes, you need to sleep 7 to 9 hours, which seems like a lot when you are sleeping 5 or 6. But higher quality sleep means you need less total sleep, and you accomplish more with the time you are awake because your energy and cognitive function are optimized. Yes, exercise takes time, but increased energy and productivity more than compensate. Strategic high-intensity training produces results in far less time than traditional cardio. Most energy optimization strategies save time in the long run by preventing the years lost to illness, low productivity, and poor quality of life. The ultimate benefit of energy optimization is freedom. Freedom from constant fatigue that limits what you can attempt and achieve. Freedom from dependence on caffeine and stimulants. Freedom from the anxiety that comes with feeling constantly depleted. Freedom from watching your health decline as you age. Freedom to pursue ambitious goals because you have the energy required to achieve them. Freedom to fully engage in relationships and activities you care about because you have reserves rather than running on empty. This freedom creates opportunities that are simply not available to people struggling with chronic low energy. You can say yes to career opportunities that would overwhelm someone with limited energy. You can pursue side projects and passion work because you have capacity beyond your primary obligations. You can be fully present with your children or partner rather than being too depleted for meaningful connection. You can handle unexpected challenges and setbacks without completely falling apart because you have built resilience. The transformation that comprehensive energy optimization creates is not just about feeling better, though you will feel dramatically better. It is about becoming capable of creating the life you actually want, rather than settling for whatever life you can manage with your current limitations. It is about realizing potential that has been locked inside you, waiting for the energy required to express it. It is about becoming the person you know you could be, if only you had the energy. Every single person has the capacity for extraordinary energy and vitality. It is your biological birthright, not a genetic gift given to a lucky few. The only thing standing between you and optimal energy is knowledge and commitment. You now have the knowledge. Everything you need to know about creating abundant energy has been explained in comprehensive detail throughout this audiobook. The only remaining question is whether you will commit to implementing it. Commitment means deciding that your energy and health are worth prioritizing above other demands on your time and attention. It means being willing to make changes that might feel uncomfortable initially because, the long-term benefits are worth short-term adjustment. It means persisting through the inevitable challenges and setbacks that occur when changing established patterns. It means treating your energy optimization as seriously as you treat your most important professional and personal obligations. The alternative to commitment is continuing to live as you have been, watching your energy slowly decline year after year until illness or complete burnout forces change. This path is paved with regret, with all the things you wanted to do but never had the energy for, all the experiences you missed because you were too tired, all the potential you never realized because you lacked the vitality required to pursue it. The cost of not optimizing your energy is far higher than the cost of doing the work required. You have one body, one life, one chance to become everything you are capable of becoming. Energy is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Without it, you are trapped in survival mode, just trying to make it through each day. With it, you are free to thrive, to grow, to contribute, to experience life fully. The choice is yours. The knowledge is here. The only question remaining is what you will do with it. Your transformation begins the moment you decide that you deserve to feel truly alive, truly energized, truly unstoppable. Make that decision now. Your future self will thank you for the rest of your life.